So we're making a triple easel card. Looks like this. It will fold completely flat to go in the mail. It will fit in an A5 sized envelope. It is basically half a sheet of A4 folded. I have trimmed the A4 just so that it's to 11.5, so that it's really easy then to score that in half at 5 3/4. It just, that little smidge that you take off the end just makes it easier when you come to score your card. So I'm going to get my scoreboard out, and I've got it with the long edge along the top of the board, and I'm going to score at 5 3/4, so straight down the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to fold that so that it is burnished, and that's your card base. Okay, so if I get my template out, I'll show you. I've made fold marks and cut marks. So the fold marks are the dash lines. So we've done the halfway mark there to create the card fold. And then we're actually going to make cut lines at 2 3/4 and 5.5. In my scoreboard, I'm just going to very gently score at 2 3/4 and 5.5. Just so that I'm splitting the card in exactly 3 parts. Okay, and it's very, very faint. You can hardly see those marks. If I just tilt, you can very, very gently just see that there's a mark there and a mark there. Because I don't need a heavy score line, I just need to be able to see where I need to cut. And you can use your scissors to create the cuts, or as I say, you can use your trimmer. So I then would cut up to create this flap card like this. And because I've got this little cheap trimmer, I am going to just pop it in and line up so I can see where I've made my mark, and I'm literally just going to come down to meet the middle fold of the card. Just careful, because this doesn't have any kind of ruler on it, so I just have to be careful not to go across. And then I'm going to move across to my other score line, hopefully. Let's see if it's heavier on the other side. And then I'll come down on that score line and stop. Okay, so now I've got my 3 flaps. We've now got our 3 flaps cut, and I'm just going to show you, because I've done a template of the next bit. Okay, so I've got one here that here's one I prepared earlier, a bit like Blue Peter. Now, the most important thing that you need to remember when we're doing the next step, we're going to be scoring each of these panels, and they are all scored in exactly the same way. So I am going to use my scoreboard, and you are going to be scoring from the outside edge into the middle of the card. So the outside edge into the middle, the outside edge into the middle on each one. Okay, they are all exactly the same. So you will score diagonally. So that's with the, if you imagine the card is either closed, or even if it is open out flat, it is still the same way. You're going to start at the outer corner and score into the middle of the card. Okay, just need to make that really, really clear, because obviously if you score it the other way, it's not gonna work basically, or we'll have to do a bit of jiggery pokery, shall we say. So the easiest way I found to do that was on my scoreboard. As you can see, I have got a big dark Sharpie pen line that I have put down the middle of my scoreboard in the 6-inch trough basically. And that is so that when I come to do this kind of scoring, where you've got to make a line kind of diagonally, and if you've got a diagonal scoreboard, yeah, that could work. I have, and I didn't actually try it, but because I know exactly where I want this score line to go, I want it to go from this outside corner to this inside corner. Okay, so what I've done with my other 2 flaps, I have tucked them well out of the way. Okay, so they're not going to get in the way. And I'm going to just put this in my trough so that that top outside corner is there and the bottom is just in the same trough. And I'm going to come down with my bone folder and make that mark. Okay, so that's the first one done. So outside edge to inside edge. And then I can pop that out of the way and bring in my middle one. And again, exactly the same thing. I'm going to go from the outer edge to the inside of the card. Okay, so right into the middle. And sometimes it's easier to actually just start somewhere at, you know, halfway down and kind of come out, because sometimes it kind of can curl up the point if you start coming in right away. Sometimes it can just sort of dent the corner. So you can actually start just within that space and then go out and back along. Okay, so that's the second one done. So now I've got 2 diagonal lines. Okay, and then the last one, probably a little bit of the trickiest one really. But again, I want to make sure it's my outside edge and coming to the diagonal in the middle of the card. So let's just start it before that point and come in, and I can always go back. Okay, so then I now have that scored, and I'll just show you so you can see that really clearly. They are all going in the same direction. Okay, and it's all from the outside edge to the middle of the card. Okay, so that's that next step. Now that we've done our scoring, we're going to do our folding. As you can see here, the card has to stand up from the bottom corner basically and comes up to make a little mountain. So when we're folding this, if you see, if I open it so you can see, we need to actually fold the bottom upwards and make sure you burnish it well. Okay, so that's them all folded, and then if you put it over, now you might see that they're all kind of sitting up and they're not actually on the card, they're not resting, they're kind of floating mid-air. Now we always get a bit confused about what we need to actually burnish to make our little mountains rest more on the card. So if we just close the flaps down for now, then I can just come down here and burnish that, and that actually will impact how my mountains will sit, or my little easels. Okay, and you will find now that they aren't up mid-air, they are all resting nicely on the card base. Okay, so I'm going to cut my paper for the front of the card now. So I've got this piece and I want my cut to go from this top corner to that bottom corner. Okay, so when I put it in my trimmer, I'm going to have to make sure that that is exactly how I put it in. So if I just move this in so you can see, I've got this top corner in the blade and that bottom corner. Okay, and I shall cut that. And then if I show you, if I bring my card front, you can see there that that will fit perfectly. Now, had I wanted the other side, if I had wanted this side as the front and I cut it that way, it doesn't fit. It doesn't matter how you turn it around, it won't fit on that piece. So that's why it's really important when you're cutting to make sure that you get your orientation of your paper correct. So again, I want the paper to be cut from this top corner to this bottom corner, so that when I come to lay it on my card, it is this orientation. And so the cut needs to be straight through the middle that way. Okay, so again, I need to put it in so that that right corner is in the cutting blade and shimmy it round. So I've got a diagonal cut to create my triangles. Okay. And there I've made those the right size to go on there. Just pop those there. But again, I need the cut to go from that top corner to that bottom corner. So I'm going to pop it in and cut. So that I create my triangles that way around. Okay. So that's all my triangles cut. So now I have got 3 different patterns because I just wanted to show off these lovely papers, and I'm actually going to do my sentiment in the middle of the card this time. So I wanted a more plainer center, and I'll probably fancy it up like I've done with this one, where I've put some like silver leaves and vellum there. I'll do that, but I'll put that in the center because this one's more plain. And for the inside of the card, we've got a large, I've used a planer sheet because, as you can see, when you've got your little stoppers propped up, you do see the bottom, and I didn't want it to be too busy. So this one actually kind of coordinates. It's just one of the other papers from the Paper Blooms pack. So you don't want something that's going to be really striking, like I don't know what's on the other side. See, that would be very, very busy for me to put on the inside, with especially with all these papers. So something more plain on your inner is going to look better. So I'm going to just move these to one side, and I'm actually going to glue my inside first, get that out of the way, and then I'll glue all my triangles on the front. And this is the beautiful berry papers. I'm using all new stuff today from the new Sale-A-Bration catalog, the new mini catalog from Stampin Up. But the products I'm using today are the freebies that you get when you purchase from the new catalog. So these papers come with the stamp set. I bet the berries, which I showcased the other week when I was making my little gift holders. I used the same papers. They are really pretty. I've really gone to town on the glue today. So that's the inside, very easy. And we will obviously be adding stoppers in a minute, but I want to get my front decorated. I seem to have missed a big gap of paper here. So if you find that sometimes, now here's a little tip for you. If you find that you've got a little bit of paper that's lifted and you haven't actually put your glue on it, so if I turn this up, you can see I've actually got it. It's not joined. It hasn't got glue. So what I can do is I can actually get a little bit of paper. I'm going to use it like a little tab. So just with a little bit of paper, put a little bit of glue on it, just on the edge. I will just kind of flatten it down a bit. And then I can just actually come in and run that along that piece that I have missed. And then hopefully stick it down. There you go. That's stuck now. That's just a little hint and tip for you. And now I can start decorating the card front. So I can do that one first. I'm just going to pop some glue. And the most important bit is really getting that point. So make sure you get glue on your points so that they don't lift up. So that's that one. So I'm just going to pop that down. Oops, Daisy. And just have it so that there's an even border all the way around that. The next one's going to go on top. So again, I'm going to just make sure that I've got my point. Like so. As I say, as long as you've got that point done, that'll stick down for you. And now pop that down. So that's that, and I've got my base paper as well, which, as I say, is quite muted, so that it doesn't take away from the actual little mountains that we have. So I need to create my stoppers now. So to create the stoppers, you can have a little square, you can have flowers punched out. So on my sample here, I've cut a scallop circle, and then I've just cut a circle from the same pattern paper and created this little medallion kind of look, as my stoppers are just little circle scallops that will act as a stopper. So I could have a little flower here, just as a stopper, acting there, like that. Okay, so that would work. Or, as I say, a simple shape. So you could have, there's a little square there, a little square, oh, that one says with love. So you could have just a little square that's raised on a piece of coordinating cardstock, as I say, and pop that on. Actually, that might look quite nice because it's the right colour. I think I might have that on there because I'm going to have a sentiment in the middle, but I might just have that little with love there. That looks like it will coordinate just nicely. I have just sorted out all my little sort of die cuts and pieces into bags. So I've got all my squares in one bag, all my flowers in another bag, because I had them everywhere and I just sorted them, and I've been using them up as I've been making cards. I kind of have a wee look to see, oh, what have I got in my box that I can use today. I'm going to actually stick that onto the same coloured cardstock, which is the shaded spruce. And then we'll stick that down like so. And then I'll just trim around that with my scissors. Actually, I think it'll probably be good enough, she says, hopefully. Straight across there. Straight up there. And then I'm going to just pop that on the front like that on a foam pad, and that'll be the first stopper. And then that will really dictate the height of my other mountains, I keep calling them, for want of a better word, my other easels. Let me just get my sticky pads. So I shall pop a foam pad on the back of that, and then I'll position my little easel, and I'm keeping these quite thin on the foam pad, so that when the card is folded flat, I don't have, you know, a lot of bulk in it. So that's the first one. Oops, sorry, just bashed the camera. So I've got the first little stopper there. Okay, and then I will do the next ones. So I'll decide, I think I'm going to probably cut a strawberry or something from the pattern paper. And maybe have a, because there's some lovely little strawberries here and things, so I might have a strawberry as one, or a leaf or something like that. Maybe one of these smaller strawberries, I think, like that would be nice. So I'll cut that out. I'm just going to do a little bit of fussy cutting. So what I'll do is I'm just going to cut around that strawberry, and these aren't really difficult, to be fair. The shapes are quite simple, so it's not too much of a problem to cut round. So it's just pulling in something from the pattern paper that matches. As I say, you could have flowers, you could have a butterfly maybe on one of your little stoppers. You could just have some pattern paper like I've had on my other one. I created those little medallions. Really, it is entirely up to you how you go with the decoration, and it can be as much or as little as you want. Okay, so I've got my little strawberry, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop it onto a square of card. It's just 3 centimeters. Just going to cut that down just to keep it all the same. I've got 2 additional squares that are the same size as that first one, and you could actually, if you wanted to, you could even layer it onto a piece of Whisper White first. Right, perfect. So I'm going to just glue a piece of Whisper White card onto my second little stopper, and then I'm going to glue the strawberry on top. That's going to be on there like so, and then the strawberry is going to be next. Right, stick the strawberry down like so, and then that'll be my next stopper, so I shall pop that down. So again, pop up my step, and I want it to be on the same level as, you know, so that when the cards open they're all on a level. So I can use this green tartan line as a gauge to be on the same pathway basically. So that's that one, that's that one, and then I'll just create my final one. So I'm just taking some blue and I'm just going to trim that straight obviously, and then stick it on this. And it's just, again, as I say, just bringing in a little bit of the paper to match, so it coordinates with that blue paper that's on the card front. And again, I'm going to have to get my foam pad, and again I want to line it up so that it's in the right place, so that it all ties up, so I know that it's going to go on that line here to match up with the other ones. So now I've got my 3 easels all secured with the little stoppers, and so that's the inside of the card done. And so when that's closed, you don't see those, and they're not, as I say, there's not much bulk to them because I've used very thin foam pads. So as this is all squares on the stopper, I'm going to stick to having squares on the card front. So I have got some stitched squares that I can stamp on here, and I am also going to create some squares using the shaded spruce, just so it all ties in with the card base. So all I need to decide is what we're going to pop onto these, and it doesn't have to be stamping, it can be pattern paper. So I could again pull in from the lovely berry papers something like I've done here, where I've done a flower and then I've done some little dragonflies, and on that one I've just had to stamp them. Stamp set here, which is the Touch of Ink, which is another Sale-A-Bration one. So if I do the thank you so much, and because it's quite a smallish stamp, I'm gonna maybe just do some of the little berries around it as well. I'm gonna just stamp that right in the middle, and because it's photopolymer, the clear, I'm going to just hold it there for a minute, because the clear stamps tend to absorb the ink and you need to just let it come back out onto the paper. So thank you so much. It's there. And so you can see I'm going to just stamp a little bit of the flower, and I'm just going to have it so that it's coming off the bottom of that, like so, just so it gives a little bit of something to that. It's kind of breaking up that white space. Okay, so and I'm going to do the same on the top on the other side. Just come in and just stamp just like that. So it's just giving a little bit of interest to that sentiment, and it's not just a sentiment stuck on a big white space. And then I'll glue that onto that shaded spruce card, so it all ties in together. So think of your stamps as well sometimes, because they don't all have to be just the full stamp. You know, you can have just little bits to add interest, and you can do the same on an envelope. You know, if you're sending something, you can, like a card like this, you can actually decorate the envelope as well, just with a little bit of the stamping. So I'm going to put that one in the middle. So thank you so much, it's going to go on that one. And as I say, I'm only going to have glue on this part of it because it needs to be able to stand up. Okay, right, so for the other one, actually, I might just, that flower was really pretty. I wonder if I just actually stamp the flower in the next square, what that would look like. We'll just have that, like so. And put that on there, glue that. Just thinking as we go here. On the hop, she says. The little flower there. Have that on that one. I don't know, let's just try that and see what it looks like. Stamping on the hop, as I call it, when we haven't actually got a so-called plan, we've just got a little thread of an idea going in our heads. I went on a walk yesterday and actually saw a woodpecker having a go at making a little home. It was making such a noise, it was unbelievable, because I could hear this kind of tap, tap, tapping away. Yeah, that's perfect actually. And I looked up in the tree and I saw a pigeon and I thought that couldn't be the pigeon making the noise. But then, just looking to the left, there was this little woodpecker just going hammer and tongs away, making such a racket, and I stood and watched it for ages because it was just like, wow, it's so rare. Just gone over. Right, I've got my little bird here. Quite nice as well. So basically that's the kind of idea that I've got for this, just to break up all those papers. Pop a pad on the back, and as I say, I'm only putting it at the bottom half because I don't want it to stop the fold coming up. Okay, so let's just see. Pop that there. Is that going to work okay? Perfect. Just again on the bottom half. So again, just in the same, so that they're kind of symmetrical. You don't have to, you could have them all gone off at different angles thinking about it. Put that one there. So we've got a flower, and thank you so much, and my bird. So if I hold that up, that's how we're looking with that one. And then if I wanted to, as I say, I could come in with some leaves or decoration to go behind. So I'll just show you what I mean by that. In the bag of goodies here, I've got some little gold leaves, so you could have some like little foliage coming out, or there's some greenery there. If you wanted to embellish it a little bit more, you could have a little bit of gold and a little bit of greenery coming behind, like so. Add a little bit of sparkle and interest. It's just the leaf punch, and they're actually some old dies, I think, of that botanicals that fern looks like it's from, but just pretties it up a little bit. Oh yeah, I think I'm going to go for that. So I've just put a little bit of red tape on there, and I shall take the backing off that, and then I'll just literally pop that in behind where I sort of fancy it going, and then just push down, and there you have, oops, sorry, turn it around, you have that there. I could actually have it so it's coming down the bottom if you wanted, but it's entirely up to you where you want it to be. It can be actually stuck on the base card if you want. It's, as I say, crafter's prerogative. You can put it wherever you would like to put it. So I'm going to just pop another one on there. It's a bit messy. So do exactly the same again, just a little bit of red tape. And I'll show you what it looks like if I stick it on the card this time. So I'll put it on the back, like so. And then peel off that layer. And then just, oops, make sure they're both secured on there. And then I could have it so that it is actually stuck down like so. Okay, so then when that's open, you've got some that's up and some that's down. Okay, and as I say, bit of bling on there, and that will just finish that off nicely, I think.